You've heard the saying that A students in school end up working for C students in business. And B students, well, they work for the government. It's kind of a funny saying, but unfortunately, it sets up an unfair power dynamic that makes some people think that they should be something that they're not. Because the fact is, not everybody's designed to be an entrepreneur. Just like not everyone's built to do really well in school and university and work for a great company someday. And of course, some of us are built just to get by. But the bottom line is, we need every type. No one's better than the other. The best line to describe what I'm talking about comes from The Rock. Know your role and shut your mouth. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video today. But before we do, if you're looking for some clarity or direction on your situation, or just another brother to hold space for you while you allow your own revelations to come through, then you know what to do. Book a call with me, your old Uncle E, by clicking the link down below. So today we got a question from a bro. He goes on to say, yo, Elliot, I'm in a stage in life where I can't make money from what I'm good at or like. He says, I'll have to get a normal job. All my life I was told that I'm smart and that I have gifts. He says, hearing this was encouraging, but also put pressure on me to always be the best. Since I was always good at academics and conceptual things, I don't have any experience in practical skills. He says, now that I have to get a normal job, I feel like a loser. I don't mean to sound entitled since I really don't think I'm better than anyone else. I mean, I have a hard time reconciling what I'm capable of versus working a normal job. Great question, man. And so, like I said in the beginning of this video, we gotta be honest with ourselves, man. And if you were really good at academics and conceptual things, then you were designed to work in an environment that honors those talents. That's your talent, that's your gift. Following directions, being clear and concise, as well as accurate, is what got you A grades in school. All the things that made people admire you coming up is exactly what you should continue to do. But the problem is that in this day and age, it seems very sexy and cool to be an entrepreneur. So guys like you who do really well working for an awesome company someday feel as if they're being underachievers if they don't become the next big, fancy, flashy entrepreneur on the screen. And it makes me think that a lot of times we end up getting confused based on the times that we're living in. Because just a few decades ago, we were all fed the fact or the idea and meant to believe that it was a fact that everyone needs to go to college. And so the guys that didn't go to college and end up getting a good job somewhere usually felt like the loser 50 years ago. But now the complete reverse has happened and the pendulum has swung in the opposite direction, and it's just as unhealthy as believing that everybody needs to go to college and work a corporate job. That was appropriate for the time. And of course, I tend to think that, the leaders, the rulers, the oligarchs, those that pull our puppet strings, set things up in a certain way so that we would aspire to getting a job and working for a corporation. But I don't think we're under any less of a delusion based on the information age or the institution of the internet that we're sort of being puppeted around in order to believe that we all need to be entrepreneurs. Just look at how much bullshit courses are out there about how to be an entrepreneur. They even teach entrepreneurship in college. Meanwhile, the entrepreneur has typically been the guy that just doesn't do really well in school, like the C student in the quote that I said earlier. And there was a long time that those guys, those C students in school, they were like the guys that were working in like the auto shop. They were working in shop while the really smart kids were taking the advanced, talented classes. They would call them gifted. They were in the gifted classes. And those kids, the blue collar kids that were working in the shop, ended up one day owning a body shop or maybe multiple mechanic shops and being entrepreneurs, not because they aspired to it, but because that's all they could do given the plot they were given, the cards that you're given, knowing your role and playing your part. The problem is that the culture chooses who it wants to crown the king of the particular era. This time we think, well, entrepreneurship. Everybody needs to be an entrepreneur. And entrepreneurs are lauded and celebrated all throughout the internet and in the media. And so here you are, someone who would do really well in, say, working for a great company, even a corporation that you believe in, that you can choose to rent yourself out to, and still be a sovereign man choosing where you want to work, but yet you're poo-pooing the whole idea and you're feeling down about yourself as if you're an underachiever because you're not doing what you think everybody else thinks you should be doing or what everybody else is doing. You're looking at the world once again and thinking that you need to be something that you're not. And this is what causes all the brain rot. The bottom line is that we're all different and we're all very important and we got to know our role and play our fucking parts. This reminds me of a saying in the Bible. St. Paul, I'm going to pull it up to you right now. He says something to the effect of how we're all different parts of the same body and we got to know our role and play our part. And no part is better than the other. So he goes on, he says here, I think it's in Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 12-ish. He says, as it is, there are many parts, yet one body. The eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you. Nor can the head say to the feet, I have no need of you. On the contrary, the parts of the body that seem to be weaker are indispensable. If one member suffers, all suffer. If one member is honored, all rejoice together. Now you are parts of the body of Christ and individually members of it. So my point in saying that to you is that you may be an eyeball who's looking at the hand and wondering, why can't I be more like the hand? And that's stupid because the eyeball is very sensitive. The eyeball is very articulate. The eyeball is very precise. The eyeball is very clear and has vision and can do its thing in a way that the hand absolutely can't. But like you said before, you're good at concepts. The eye is great at driving concepts and images into the brain. But it can't do anything without the freaking hand. The hand is rugged. The hand is strong. Right? The hand has dexterity. The hand has its own talents. But when they come together, they can create amazing things. That's why the quote in the beginning is funny because it's true. The A student needs to find a C student. The guy who's really good at following orders and doing things precisely and getting the good grade and being immaculate in his work will do really well if we find somebody who's a firecracker, who knows how to start things, who knows how to use his hand, who's very dexterous, has a lot of dexterity, and can get out there and can handle all the beatings that the market gives him, and he can pivot and he can move and he can create businesses. The eye can't do it the way the hand does. But the same way that the eye needs the hand to get the work done, and vice versa, the hand needs the eye in order to see what work to do. So dude, I don't want you to feel as if getting a normal job is bad. The only way a normal job is bad is if you choose a job that is not suited to you best and is beneath, not, I don't say beneath in a hierarchical way, but is beneath your level of talent, like what you should be doing. Today is the greatest day to rent yourself out as an entrepreneur. Go find companies that are doing things you believe in. Go find an entrepreneur who's leading a company that you can get behind, that you trust, that you love, and you want to help him bring that vision into practice, into the world. Get behind someone or use your eyes to find a hand that's doing the things that you want to do so that you can support the freaking hand. None is better than the other. Man, the grass is not greener. Like I said, the guy who was a blue-collar guy working in the shop, couldn't get good grades, he was a C student, ended up being an entrepreneur mainly because he had to. I remember lamenting, I whine to my wife sometimes, believe it or not, I'm a whiner. I whine sometimes to my wife when things are going tough in my business, and I say, why can't I just have a normal job? I've said that legitimately, like those were my words. Like, why can't I just have a normal job? Like, think about the benefits of a normal job. First of all, a normal job, you clock in and you clock out. You very rarely take your work home. My work is baked into my DNA 24 hours a day. I can't get away from my work. I am my work, and that's a little daunting and annoying sometimes. Because based on my mood, the business goes one way or another. That sucks. I wish I could just plug myself into something, a nice solid machine that was doing work that I liked and I honored and I appreciated, and then I could plug out and turn off my brain and go home. Working a normal job means you get a steady paycheck. There's a lot of value to that because entrepreneurs, our money goes like this. And I've spoken to lots of entrepreneurs on my guidance calls. And a lot of them have ADHD. In fact, they say that you have a 300% chance of being an entrepreneur if you have ADHD. And it's because people with ADHD simply can't get it done in a normal job. Like, we can't do it. Like, I can't go to Silicon Valley and get a great job at a startup that is building some software that I really like. They won't hire me. The guy who built the business, the guy who started the business, he probably did. In fact, some of my guidance calls, I had one guidance call with a guy who built a really important app for Apple, and he built a business around it and sold it for, hundreds of millions of dollars, legitimately. ADHD, addiction to food. He gained weight and lost weight his whole life. He was depressed and anxious his whole life growing up, didn't do really well in school. His life was tough, but he was built for building a business because he had ADHD, because he was a C freaking student. So don't be an A student here listening to this thinking that, I need to lower my grades or become a C student so that I can be an entrepreneur someday. That's dumb. Just like you saying that I shouldn't live up to my talents as an A student, as a person who does really well with concepts, so that I can do something glamorous like an entrepreneur someday. Know your role and shut your mouth, meaning know what you're good at and do that. Know what you're not good at and stay away from that. Know yourself and play your part. It makes life a lot easier, dude. Done.